All right, in this video, we are going to look at this practice problem here, number 3 from the chapter 5 practice problems. It says, write a class named MyPoint. The class should contain two private fields named x of type int, y of type int, get and set methods for each field, and a method named public double distance int a and b, and that calculates the distance. Okay, so let's go ahead and start on that one. All right, so go to File, New Java, and then public class MyPoint, the class header, and here's the class body. And this class is one of those types of classes that it's meant to just kind of bundle together some data variables, the fields, right, and some methods. And is sort of meant to be used by this other class over here, and this mentioned in the second part. So we have two fields, x and y. All right, so private int x and private int y. All right, so there's the fields. Then get and set methods for each of the fields. Okay. All right. All right, get and set methods. So let's work on the get method for x. So x is of type int, right? So this is going to be public int get x, and that's just going to return x. And then public int get y, return y. So that's the get and set, the get methods, and set method. So that would be public void, right? And then set x. X is of type int, right? So we're going to need an int parameter. We have to tell it what to set it to. Okay, and in this one, we're going to do the most basic thing, which is just take the value of the parameter, right, and copy it up to the field up here. And same thing for the set method for y. And remember, if you use the same name for the parameter as you do for the field, then you have to use the this reference, right? This dot y equals y. If you just put y equals y, right, Java's going to get confused and not actually copy that value over. All right, so we've got our field set up, we've got our get and set methods set up. All right, and on this particular one, they want an extra method to get thrown in there, okay? Other than the get and set methods. In the earlier examples, they don't ask for that. Okay, so they want a method with this exact header, public double distance int a int b. And this class, right, is supposed to represent a point like in algebra class. Say maybe, for instance, you are writing an application that would do some graphing, right, like a graphing calculator or an app on your phone that did some graphing. You might have a point represented in there like this, okay? All right, and so this method distance, they say it uses the distance formula to return the distance from the point xy to the point AB. So this is what we have to return, this distance right here. So I'm going to go ahead and just type that in there, return, and it's math.sqrt. And then inside there we need math.pow. And it is x minus a quantity squared. So x minus a So all right, so everything looks good so far. All right, so it looks like we have that part done. Okay. All right, so next up it says write another class named test MyPoint. All right, so file, new Java, public class test MyPoint. By the way, when you are doing this, you should, if you're using JGrasp, you should be able to see, right, the other class that you're using in there. It should be in the same directory as this one. If they're in different directories, then it's going to give you some issues. All right, so this test MyPoint class, it has a main method. So public static void main string args. It should create two MyPoint objects. Okay. So I'm going to create a MyPoint object. All right, I'm going to call it point1. Remember, the type is the name of the class, right, that you're creating it from, which is the MyPoint class. And then new MyPoint. And MyPoint point2 equals new MyPoint. So there we go. We've got two MyPoint objects. Just like with the contact class in the lecture video, those MyPoint objects are going to be blank. Actually, here they're zeros. Sorry. Those fields, if they're primitive types, they get set with values. In the case of int, it gets set with 0. So there are some values in there. So all right, so we've got two MyPoint objects created. The next thing, it says set the value of each field in each object. Okay, so we are going to set the values in here. So in point1, we're going to set the x and just make up numbers. It doesn't matter exactly what they are. Point1.set y9. And let's do that in all right, so now when we run this, we're going to see that we don't have 0 and 0 anymore, right? It's going to change those values to 3 and 9 on the first point and -2 and 1 on the second point. Okay. All right. It says display the information contained in the MyPoint objects by using the get methods. All right. So here I am going to create a printf statement, and then I am going to use the get methods to get the value from the object. So point1.getx, that's going to be put here, and point1.getY. And let's test that out. And you can see, right, we get that message printed out there. All right, same thing. Let's just copy this down here. And change this to 0.2. All right, and you can see there's the second point there. All right, so we use the get methods to get the values from the MyPoint objects that we have set up. All right, so that's this part done. It says display the distance of each MyPoint object from the point 9, -16. All right, so I'm going to create another printf statement. Distance from 9, 16. That's going to probably be a decimal number. I'm going to display it to 2 decimal places. All right, and so now what we need to do is to call this distance method, right, in the MyPoint object. All right, so the name of our object here is point1. So put the name of the object, point1, dot, then the name of the method, distance. Looking at the distance method, right, in here, it has 2 parameters, right? Okay, and so we would have to put the 2 numbers that we want to calculate the distance to, which was 9 and -16. So 9 and -16. All right, and so this will call the distance method. It will send it the values 9 and -16, and that will calculate the distance from 9 and -16 to 0.1. Okay. All right, so let's run that, and so you can see how the message looks. Oops, something did not like that. Okay, so the issue is here. I have the point on the wrong side. All right, and you can see I get that distance there, 25.71. All right, I'm going to do the same thing except down here, except with 0.2. All right, and I get that distance there. That looks a little high. Let's just check it out, make sure that it's working right. If I do 10, 16, that should give us a 1. Yeah, something's not right. Oh no, -16. Yeah, that looks okay. What if I do -15, 9? Yeah, looks okay. Those numbers just seem big to me, so I just want to make sure everything looks okay, and it does look okay. All right, let's take a look at these in Canvas and just see how it goes. Control-Shift-R. All right, so step through, it creates a new MyPoint object. It gets it set up. It's blank at the, or not blank, but has zeros in it at the moment. Line 6 sets the value, the x value to 9. So you can see it jumps on over and sets that value. Right? Set y, it's negative 15, so it's going to jump over to the set method for y, take the value negative 15 and copy it over to the value for y here. All right. And next up, it's going to print this statement out. To do that statement, it's going to call these two get methods, right? So we'll see it jump on over to get x, and that will return the value for x. And then it's going to do this get y method, which is going to jump on over to here and return the value for y and get all of that set up. Next up, it is going to call the distance method. So it will do point1.distance, and you're going to see it's going to jump on over to this distance method in the MyPoint class. And the value for A, you can see here, is 9, and the value for B is negative 16. So those are the values that got sent right from this command right here on line 9 in test MyPoint. All right, it's going to make that calculation, and it's going to send that value back. Okay. All right, so that is it on this particular example.